son. You must lead in my place. Use it as you see fit.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to our channel. Welcome back to the series where we're counting down the top Dynasty Warriors characters as the latest game. Starting off the 20s at number 29, we've got Sima Shi. Sima Shi is Sima Yi and Zhang Chunhua's eldest son, who was named commander of the Wei army shortly after his father's death. He personally led troops to attack Wu after Sun Quan's death and to quell the rebellions within Wei. Heeding his father's warnings regarding the negativity for their family, Sima Shi primarily sought to protect army morale and to preserve unity, even concealing the arduous pain he felt from a malignant tumor near his eye. His health drastically declined, cutting his command to a total of 4 years, and his younger brother Sima Zhao succeeded him. Before we talk more about Sima Shi and how he's changed within the Dynasty Warriors series, take a look at the popularity polls to see why Sima Shi breaks the top 30 and lands at number 29. In the first popularity poll, consisting of about 75,000 total votes, Sima Shi received 987 votes, putting him at the 31st spot. In the second popularity poll, he's going to drop down to the 46th spot, and then in my personal rankings, he's going to jump up to the 21st position. So for me personally, Sima Shi is the highest among the three lists because I generally like Sima Shi. He's not like a favorite character of mine. He looks cool. His weapon style was really cool. I always enjoyed playing with him and seeing what he comes up with his story. Very cool, calculating kind of personality. I definitely connect with the character in terms of how he strategizes and goes about leading his kingdom toward uniting the land under his banner. Before we jump into how Sima Shi has changed since his playable debut back in Dynasty Warriors 7 with the introduction of the Jin Kingdom, let's talk a little bit about Sima Shi for people who don't know. Sima Shi is a man with magnificent intelligence who is skilled in both the military arts and various literary studies. While his design was fashioned to be calm and elegant, it's meant to conceal his burning ambition. He's always pressing onwards to the future with a composed focus, and he acts as a strategist and commander for his people. This is very evident within the games after he takes command, after Sima Yi either passes away or just relinquishes the power to him. He's an extremely perceptive individual, and when it comes to strategy and of course battling in general, I would say he's very good at it. Compared to his younger brother, his aristocratic mannerisms and ruthless desire for efficiency closely matches his father's expectation and contrasts his brother's image. So I would say Sima Shi is very similar to Sima Yi in terms of personality and the way he strategizes for his upcoming battles. While he analyzes his surroundings with frigid sentiment, Sima Shi is actually a compassionate man who truly considers the peace of his land and people. So you can definitely see hints of compassion within Sima Shi's stories, but there are moments where he gets pretty merciless, and we'll discuss more of that as we get later on towards like the relationship section of the video. But Sima Shi was a pretty cool character, at least for me. I enjoyed watching his progression throughout the story and just seeing what he's going to do next, or how he deals with certain things within the kingdom or the rebellions he had to put down. I've always enjoyed his calm, collective approach. Sima Shi was a very interesting character to play as, and seeing how he made his decisions based on what was going on, pretty interesting, at least for me to watch. We'll talk a little bit more about his battles and his more like important things that he did during his time leading the Jin Kingdom. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into how Sima Shi has changed within the game, and then we'll talk about his significant battles, relationships, and of course his death. So starting off with Sima Shi's appearance, I would say his appearance in all the games is actually pretty good. I don't have anything to complain about the way Sima Shi looked. His appearance is actually the reason why I actually, wanted to play as him originally. When the Jin Kingdom was first introduced, I looked around to see who were the most interesting looking characters, and of course playing through the stories, who had the interesting personalities. Sima Shi was a character that always drew me to play him, not only from the way he looked, but because of the way he acts, and again, that calm, collective nature, which I've always tended to gravitate towards those types of characters. But his appearance for me was actually pretty cool. I didn't really have anything to complain about. They're all relatively the same. Dynasty Warriors 8 takes a lighter look to the other games that he's a part of, but I think it looks just fine. I think it looks really good. Anyone who was an original Sima Shi fan would be a fan of him still, because his appearance doesn't really change that much. Now, moving on to his weapon style, I mean, it's pretty much the same weapon. It has two different names, but it's basically a rapier or an extension blade. It's also called the lightning sword in Dynasty Warriors 8. Whatever you want to call it, it's pretty much the same weapon, and it relatively has the same moveset throughout all the games. This is actually the reason that I enjoyed the character in Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8, because I actually liked the EX attack that he had. The Musou attacks were okay. Nothing too, like, crazy flashy. They were pretty cool though. I like the one where he like grabs him with the sword, hits him in the air. That's pretty cool. The aerial attack was okay, but it was mainly like the way the weapon was so easily able to move. You were very mobile with his attacks. He wasn't stuck in one place and able to just kind of slice through people. He kind of had like a little after effect similar to that of like Zhou Tai and his weapon style. And that's what I really liked about the character. In Dynasty Warriors 9, I think it takes a step back. He still has the EX attack that he was doing in the earlier games, but it's now his special attack, and then I think they combined two of the Musous for his main Musou in Dynasty Warriors 9. But I can't complain about it. I thought it was fine. I think it was really easy to use. It was very easy to initiate the execution mode, just like with Liu Shan and with Yuan Shao, who also have the rapier / extension blade. They're able to initiate the execution mode a lot faster than the other weapons in the game, at least personally for me. The little jabbing move that they do is really, really effective for initiating that, and I can't really complain about his weapon style. Now, moving on to his voice acting, I liked Sima Shi's voice acting in Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8, and then in Dynasty Warriors 9, it takes a little bit of a step back. I know they struggle with the voice acting in Dynasty Warriors 9. It's not the best, it's not as good as the previous games, but it's still decent enough for Sima Shi. I really liked the voice acting in Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8, though. It really displays that cold, calculating, very perceptive nature of Sima Shi.
An age ruled by those with talent.
I wouldn't say that voice style was a heartless or like villainous kind of voice style, but it definitely had an undertone of merciless, and you don't want to cross Sima Shi. And of course, because of some of the actions that some of the other officers took under Sima Shi's rule, he had to make some pretty merciless decisions, and the voice acting for him just fit well for the decisions that he was making during that time. But in Dynasty Warriors 9, I can't complain too much about the voice. I think it fits him okay.
No matter how our heart breaks, no matter how many lives we forsake, sometimes things just won't go our way.
It's just not as good as the previous one, but can't complain too much about it. I thought his voice acting was just fine for the character. Now, moving on to his significant battles, his relationships, and then his depth. We're going to start off with his battles. He's got a few important battles to talk about. So I would say the most important battles for Sima Shi is probably going to be the coup d'etat, the Battle of Hefei Castle, the rebellion he had to put down from Wen Qin and Guanchu Jian, and then of course, replacing the current emperor with a different emperor. So we're going to start off with the Emperor one. It wasn't really a battle. It was more of just like, he just forced the current emperor to step down, abdicating his throne, and then replacing him with a different emperor. The reason he did that is because he had suspicions that the current Emperor 1 obviously didn't like the Sima clan. The original retainers of Wei weren't really happy of the power growth of the Sima clan. So with that suspicion, Sima Shi made the choice to remove the current emperor and replace him with a more favorable, younger emperor who wasn't really seen as a threat. And because of this, in Dynasty Warriors 9, Sima Yi said he was actually looking like he was following in the footsteps of Dong Zhuo.
And now, you wish to replace the Emperor as well? To an outsider looking in, you are no different than Dong Zhuo.
Which was kind of crazy to hear. It's very understandable because of the actions that he was taking at the time, but it's a very similar process he was doing to that of Cao Pi when he was on the route of a similar path to becoming the Emperor of Wei. And moving on to the coup d'etat and the Battle of Hefei. The coup d'etat was very important for Sima Shi because it was the moment that the Sima clan was basically overtaking the Wei kingdom. They were unhappy with the current rulers and how they were destroying all of the work that the previous predecessors put in to make the Wei Kingdom the Wei Kingdom. So Sima Yi confided in his family in order to initiate a coup d'etat to overthrow the Cao clan and replace them with their own clan. Of course, it's going to lead to problems and rebellions and lots of other issues within the kingdom because there's a shift in power that most people might not particularly agree with. But the coup d'etat was a very key point in Sima Shi's story because after this happened a few years later, he would actually take control of Sima Yi's forces who put everything into motion. Now, the last two significant battles, the Battle of Hefei and then the rebellion of Guanchu Jian and Wen Qin. So the Battle of Hefei was right after Sun Quan had died. Sima Shi thought it was a great opportunity to attack Wu because he thought they were going to be weak because Sun Quan dies, their commander falls, they lose morale. It's a very, he thinks it's a very easy win. The initial attack on Hefei did not go very well. The Battle of Dongji led to a major blow to Sima Shi's forces, forcing them to retreat and making Sima Shi look like he didn't know what he was doing. Because of his hastiness to prove his military reputation, it backfired in a sense, but he ended up maintaining himself when he made humble admissions of his faults to the public and promoted the generals who tried to stop his campaign. So because of the accountability he took as the leader, people respected his decision and forgiving of what he put his forces through. A couple years later, he would regain his honor by defeating Wu in a battle. After that, his reputation really got established after that, and his power was affirmed. Very important battle for Sima Shi because it showed his bounce back from his failure and the ability to redeem himself in the eyes of the people that are following him. And then finally, the rebellion at Shochun, the biggest battle before Sima Shi's death. In the games, this is actually when he gets the damage to his eye. It's never mentioned that he has a malignant tumor, like an eye disorder within his eye. He actually gets like either sliced or like shot in the eye. I believe in Dynasty Warriors 9, it was a battle with Shu that he receives it. Like he gets the damage to his eye. Don't remember what battle it was, but I know in the first two games, it was the rebellion that Sima Shi was injured. It's a very important battle because, Sima Shi gets injured, which ends up leading to his death. Sima Shi was quickly able to crush the rebellion from Guanchu Jian and Wen Qin. He ends up killing Guanchu Jian, and Wen Qin ends up fleeing to Wu. According to history, at the start of the rebellion, he was ill with an eye disorder, so he didn't have like an injury to it. He had a tumor within his eye, and he had just had eye surgery. He was initially not going to lead the forces into battle. After the urging of some of his officers, he led the troops himself, which was very important in the victory against Guanchu Jian. However, during one of the raids made by Wen Qin's son, Wen Yang, Sima Shi aggravated his eye that he had just had the operation on, causing his eye to pop out, and his conditions soon deteriorated greatly. Less than a month after he put down the rebellion, Sima Shi would die at Xuchang with his brother Sima Zhao in attendance to succeed him. So in most of the games, except for Dynasty Warriors 8, there is a hypothetical route where he survives. Every game has him, passing away from the illness caused by his eye, and of course passing down the right to succeed to Sima Zhao. But it was very interesting to see what happened with Sima Shi's eye. I never understood why they always had this little mark, like half mask on his face. I thought it looked cool. I always thought it would look cool. After playing through the games and seeing like the damage he took to his eye, I was like, oh, it's understandable. It makes sense. I wanted to see if that rang true within history. It wasn't a battle injury like Xiahou Dun getting shot in the eye. He just had a tumor within his eye, and he just ended up aggravating it way too much to the point where it ended up killing him in the end, and unfortunately his reign was a very short one at that. Now moving on to his relationships within the game, he's got a few relationships within the game. Being the leader of the Jin Kingdom, he's going to have a relationship with most of the people he's leading, but I would say the most significant relationships he has within the game is going to obviously be with his family, so Sima Yi, Sima Zhao, and Shang Chunhua. And then I would say he has a really close relationship with Zhuge Dan, probably not by choice. Because of the admiration Zhuge Dan shows for Sima Shi, I would say that relationship is mainly built because of Zhuge Dan. And then like really minor relationships I would say he has is going to be with Wang Yuanji, Deng Ai, and Zhang Hui. I would say he has a pretty close relationship with Deng Ai and Zhang Hui because I believe he relied on these two the most to do the miscellaneous tasks required for whatever the battle was. You can also throw Guo Huai in there as well. I would say he falls within that category, but I would say he relied on these three generals, carry out the will, his order, whatever he needed to do during the battle. These three played a very major role in the Jin Kingdom, and of course being a part of the very beginning of like the Jin Kingdom and the coup d'etat, and accepting that was what happening and siding with the Sima clan. And then with Wang Yuanji, I would say he has a close relationship with her because she is the wife of Sima Zhao, and because Sima Zhao is like the opposite of Sima Shi in terms of discipline and motivation. Sima Zhao is very lazy, doesn't want to do a lot of work, whatever is the easiest route, he takes it. Sima Shi and Wang Yuanji both agree that Sima Zhao needs to be disciplined for his lazy and unmotivated actions, whatever that may be. I don't think they have any extended cutscenes with each other or extended moments, but I would say they have a indirect relationship. They feel the same way about Sima Zhao. They definitely see the true potential that Sima Zhao has to become a person of great merit or, a leader. And I'm sure Sima Shi didn't know he was going to pass away that early, but he probably knew eventually at some point he would either be strongly relying on Sima Zhao and he wants him to raise to that standard, or when he realized the eye tumor was getting worse or the injury was getting worse, he realized that Sima Zhao had the potential to unite the land under the Sima clan's name. And then since we're already talking about it, the relationships with Sima Zhao, Sima Yi, and Shang Chunhua. The relationship with Shang Chunhua is more of a minor one. It's his mother. They're going to have the relationship with each other. But I would say he's closer with Sima Yi because he has a lot of his personality traits and a lot of his tendencies. I mean, Sima Shi actually shares the same laugh as Sima Yi. So they definitely have like a very close relationship. You know, Sima Yi is very proud of both of his sons, and he can definitely see Sima Shi being the worthy successor to everything that Sima Yi has been building up to his death. So passing the torch to Sima Shi was a no-brainer for him. He believed that he could shape the land however he wanted, and I think they had a very close relationship all the way up until the death of Sima Yi. And then of course, building on the relationship with Sima Zhao, these two, I mean, they're brothers, they go through a lot together, very close, they rely on each other very heavily to get things done, you know, having each other's back. And again, Sima Shi, he's very patronizing to Sima Zhao, sparing him no sympathy or mercy as he punishes, you know, Sima Zhao's errors. But like I said before, he wants Sima Zhao to realize his true potential as a leader, as a general, and then eventually, again, as a ruler of the Jin Kingdom when Sima Shi realizes his time is slipping away. Very close relationship all the way up until his death. And I really like the relationship that Sima Shi has with Sima Zhao. It really shows that human, quote unquote, human side of Sima Shi. Again, he can be very merciless, executing people. You know, when the rebellions happened, you know, Guan Shujian and Wang Ling and, you know, Wen Qin, he was out killing the family members of those people, even though they had nothing to do with it. You know, Cao Shuang, when he killed Cao Shuang, he ended up killing Xiahou Xuan and other close people that were tied to him because he didn't want anything. He was preventing another rebellion from happening in his eyes. And that's also what caused Xiahou Ba to leave and, you know, join Shu, because he saw all this was happening and stuff like that. But does not take rebellions lightly. He wants to make sure that if you rebel, he wants to make an example of that rebellion. He wants that fear to be so great that nobody else rebels. I understand his philosophy and I totally get it, but that's all I have for Sima Shi here. He was a great character to play as. I don't have anything against him. Honestly, I was looking at the list. He might be a little lower for me next time just because I think there are some characters underneath him that should be above him. But I like the character. I like his personality. I like his voice acting. His weapon style is awesome. I like the relationships he has within the game. I like seeing that soft side of Sima Shi when he's, you know, talking to Sima Zhao and trying to bring out the best in him, even though it seems like he might be pressuring his, you know, younger brothers to change to honor their family's reputation. It's out of love. It's out of, you know, realizing that Sima Zhao can become something greater than he can see at that particular time. If that makes sense. But that's all I have for Sima Shi, guys. Let me know what you guys think about him in the comment section. Do you guys like him? Let me know in the comment section down below. But that's all I have for Sima Shi here, guys. Number 28 is going to be coming out here real soon. We're in the 20s now. The popular characters are on the horizon. Hope you guys are enjoying the series, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.